Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Hello, all of you out there, my little sex fiends. And, those who are just coming into the sex world or been there for a while. There are, we talk about, well, most people complain, shall we say, about, not having sex for such a long time, and how you get their groove back, and all these things like that. I mean, hell, there were movies out there called How Stella Got Her Groove Back and everything, after being away from having sex for a very long time. It happens, people. So, guess what our topic is today? Yay! Now, we're going to go over some effective ways for you to get to groove back and ways in which we can maintain that groove and making sure, but then also moving that into how to improve your moves during sex. It is something, and being able to move and hitting those right spots with, a little bit of motion in the ocean. So let's get this party started. Now, obviously, you go out, you're meeting new people, maybe attractive or whatever the case may be, but you're, hoping to meet somebody, either to have a relationship with, to have continual sex with. And, when we're trying to get our groove back in there and getting that back to having like that usual self again within your own thing. When it comes to sex, one of the things you might want to sit back and think about is how you're approaching it. First of all, make sure you're not overthinking it. This is whether or not you're in a relationship. Most of the time we have a tendency to worry a lot or about why your sex life or anybody's sex life is basically starting to go down the slope there, and you're overthinking it. Believe it or not, when you're actually doing that, try to find ways to put it, when you're actually overthinking it, it's causing more of a problem because you are thinking of it way too much and trying to figure out what the root of the problem is, and you want those answers right then and there. And those answers are not going to come to you right then and there. It's something that's going to happen over time. So, everybody's such in a rush to get back to normal, and the little air quotes there, normal, and whatever that is. But when you overthink it, sometimes you actually make it worse than what it is because you're putting way too much pressure on yourself, which is causing an enormous amount of stress. So what does stress do to the body and your sexual libido? It kind of muffles it. And you're not going to get any sexual pleasure out of anything because you're overthinking it. Don't pressure yourself to have sex or to be in the mood, because that's one of the major things that causes you to, actually be able to get back to having sex the way you want it. Don't skip your workouts. Now, obviously, in today's world, so many people with the morality rate lasting so much longer, because people are working out more. They're more body cautious and body conscious. So if you're stressed, one of the best things is go work out or do something that you find takes your mind off of all the stressful things. I mean, there are hobbies out there. Maybe you walk, just taking a brisk walk and just letting everything, that's your way of working out. Just quiet time to yourself, sitting on some headphones or whatever, or even just taking in what is going on around you. Now, skipping the workouts would probably put more stress or more problems on your sexual drive, believe it or not, because physical fitness, making sure that your body is in tip-top condition, tip-top shape, and all of that, and working out and, making sure your energy and you're maintaining a good energy gets that flow going and those lovely endorphins, and maintaining that can get your body back to where you want to be sexually. So that's something you need to really think about. Pay more attention to your diets, believe it or not, because they're obviously, because of all this self-awareness, people are doing diets, people are working out, and all stuff like that, believe it or not. Not having proper nutrition is not good for your body, because your body will tell you, knock knock, you're missing something here. Don't cut corners on your nutrition, because that's going to cause added amounts of stress onto your body. And it goes either way. If you sit there and you're actually substituting food in order to satisfy your stress, and that's just telling your body, giving it such the wrong signal, especially since your body's not used to it. Now, and that's true if you don't even go out for fast food, and then all of a sudden you're eating fast food because to you this is what you think, this is how you're satisfying your body and these problems. That's not good. Nutrition is very, very important, because as with exercise, hey, food does a body good, and having the right foods and nutritions feeds all of that, which is what you want it to do, because having a healthy body, a healthy mind, everything, everything's going to work. Good blood flow. It'll make you frisky. It'll make you this. You're feeling really good about your body. You're feeling really good about, how you're taking care of your body. So that portrays and comes out through how you view yourself. So think about it. Especially women, we know when it's that time of the month, what do? You get bloated, you get all of this and that. But however, if it's not that and you're eating the wrong foods, your body's going to feel bloated. You're going to feel, you can be dehydrated or whatever. So your body's little tinging for sexual pleasure or sexual turn on or anything like that is not getting the right signals because your body is not being taken care of nutritionally. So you need to really make sure you have healthy portions and make sure it's like with lean protein, fresh produce, whole grains, all the food products, what do they even call that now? Geez, we haven't heard that in so long either. What you get, dairy, you got proteins, you got all those, making sure that you're getting every a well-rounded course of nutrition in your meals because it's very, very important. You got your meat there and everything like that. Now, there are foods out there that do improve your libido. Obviously, most people, if not a good, really close to almost everyone, knows what those are. And, starting that off is basically dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is not only good for your libido, it is a way of really giving you that attraction, feeling that attracted to or attraction to a potential sex partner. It helps your brain release these particular endorphin, which are called, and I'm going to blow this word up, but phenylethylamine. I think I spelled it correctly. Which is really that, that aphrodisiac or that alluring, gives you that turn on. Hey, we don't get chocolates on Valentine's Day for nothing, because obviously they do something, but dark chocolate is particularly a good one. And it's actually found that when you consume dark chocolate in healthful amounts, remember that, it can produce this effect, which is a plus for you. Now, all lovely proteins, the nuts is another food. Nuts like peanuts, almonds, walnuts. These nuts contain things like amino acids, which is what our bodies need. And these amino acids actually help the brain to keep important neurotransmitters circulating. And it's a way of improving your sexual response. So if you're taking notes for your Valentines, here's some things you can be getting them. Obviously, seafood, oysters, probably on the top of everyone's list. And they're known, obviously, for their aphrodisiac outcomes of, effects. However, there are other seafoods, not only oysters, that actually work in this manner. And believe it or not, they are shellfish. Now, a lot of people cannot eat shellfish, but it is something to think about. You have your lobster, your crab, mussels. They all produce the similar effects of oysters. And this has really contributed to the high levels of the nutrients of zinc, copper, or really high quality proteins. So that's, I know a lot of people are either allergic to shellfish or they just don't like it. But these are some things that will help with your sexual groove there. Now, spicy foods. Good spicy food is really good. You can't even say that any better or any different. And one in particular is chili peppers. Believe it or not, because of the fact that spicy foods stimulate your blood flow. They also stimulate your metabolism. And believe it or not, it's been known, or at least people have said, because I believe there is, if you go into the little spice shops and you ask, I need something to help me with to get an erection or to help my sex life, they'll give you something spicy, I'm assured. And a lot of men have stated that when they eat spicy food that they achieve hotter erections, stronger orgasms, and overall have more satisfying sexual encounters. Believe it or not. So, now, on that note, I'm going to take my first break in the show so I can get a drink, get a snack, come back, get relaxed, and I will meet you back here from our sex talk with Andra, where we'll continue on the ways in which some effective ways to get your groove back.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back from our little break there, where we are discussing effective ways to get your groove back on. When you feel it, you're on a low with your libido, or in your sex life, and you want to get your groove back. Well, there are ways that, you can do this effectively, and then can actually get your groove on with some moves in the bed, and, moving their body around. It makes it that much better to get that ultimate orgasm. And you might just find new and improved ways to get your orgasm to its peak. So remember that as well. And now where we left off, we were finishing out with some foods that are really good, with chili peppers being, spicy foods in general, particularly chili peppers, which help with the males getting a hard-on, a stronger hard-on, shall I say, stronger orgasm, because, spicy foods just get you going. I mean, they stimulate your blood flow and your metabolism, so remember that. Eat more spicy foods, maybe some spicy seafood, because seafood, is also a way that helps you to get your groove back on sexually. So remember that as well. So as we're moving along, we come to our next way in which to get your groove on, which is change the subject when it comes to conversation. Now, this is whether you're in a relationship or not, or just getting into a relationship. It's found to be important to, think sexy and to talk sexy. And this is, if you're really serious about getting your libido back to normal and getting your groove on, you kind of sort of got to go outside your comfort zone and, talk the talk, walk the walk. You know how that goes. Groove the groove. And this will help, especially, get you into that mood. Get you, your mind now set in that, where it's like your body is starting to react to how your mind is thinking. Which is really, really good, because you want that sexual allure. You want your libido to grow. You want to get in there and do it. Now, remember, every day you have certain conversations that, if you have children, making sure that if they're in school, make sure they're picked up or dropped off. But nowadays they are home due to COVID, because we are all homebound. And, when you are talking those, right now, I would say, obviously, because everybody's kind of sort of homebound and quarantined due to this, and things have changed out in the world. How about, while you're in the house, and say your partner goes upstairs, or you go upstairs and you call downstairs and you start talking dirty to them on the phone. Try some new things. Think outside the box, because this is what it is all about. Turn that everyday phone call into flirty new you. Little text in there, but, make sure that it doesn't go past your partner or the person to whom you are actually sending it to, because you don't want the wrong eyes to see your sexy picture sent, or who's to say, you might have decided to finally send a nudie to your partner. But those little sexual innuendos and those little sextings and stuff like that, they are for them. Be responsible as an adult. If there's that flirty conversation, and, for the people who are not in a relationship, obviously online dating has obviously ballooned. Getting that little bit of a flirty conversation on with somebody over the internet. Obviously, a lot of people go into dating apps. Go from the dating app to your phone or whatever, continue that up. And you really getting that will get you to, start thinking and get your body like, oh, okay. I'm feeling this. So remember that you're there. You just, don't force it, don't overthink it or anything like that, because you don't want it to turn around and go in the wrong direction. Treat yourself to an indulgent solo session. Now, we all know what that is. Masturbate. Get your groove on. Self-satisfy yourself, obviously. As they neatly put it, scratching an itch. This is really, masturbation is not a bad thing like it used to be. It's actually one of the things that it will keep you, if you're not in a relationship or you're not getting sex that night, but you're feeling a little frisky, it keeps your libido up there. Especially if your libido is low, it is a way to stimulate your libido and start working on it to get it back up to a level where you want it, and continue to work on that. It helps you to, maintain that stimulation of blood flow to your genitals, as well as your body, because obviously our bodies love those endorphins. It helps you to also improve your orgasm, which you know that as well. So do it. It's not a bad thing. If you even want to go on online chatting and have, this just as you're having that little flirty conversation in your, they can't see you. So go ahead. Just, you don't have to tell them. They don't need to know. Next is add something new to your sexual repertoire. We all know we can go with this one. It's either a sex toy, it is either sexy lingerie, or thinking of a sexual fantasy. Just finding something new to stick in there. And, you may be in a relationship and been in that relationship for a very long time, married or not. And you've gotten to that point in your relationship where it seems a little bit mundane, per se. Yes, sex is still good. You still enjoy your partner. I'm not saying that the feelings are not there, but you want to try something new. You always want to keep it, on that edge and interesting, because that is what is all about. Coming up with new things for your partner and you to do. Maintaining that funness in the sexual bed. You got to think about it. It is what it is, and you don't want to ruin that, because this is what you're attracted to, him or her. So, it might be some new sex toys. You might just want to try like an indirect threesome or a direct threesome, but more of an indirect, whereas like maybe you're online and there's somebody on the other side of that, and you're going back and forth and sexual innuendos and everything, heaven only knows. Or you might want to get out there and actually do that. Come on, get creative in this here. It is your sex life. Next one is inject new life into your look. Obviously, sometimes you get to that point where this is more women than men, where you're just getting up, getting dressed, and you're not really, you're doing what you need to do to look appropriate for what, the day at work or the day of whatever it is you have to do. And it's just become routine now. Spice that up. Turn it around. Get up the next morning and you don't wear makeup, put on a little makeup. Do up your hair. Maybe wear something that you would not normally wear. And it's, something that's going to scream out sexy to someone, to yourself. You can look at yourself and say, hey, you look damn good, or that opposite sex, or that whatever sex you're going for. Who cares? But getting out there and doing it is the thing. So just get up and finally say, I'm going to do this today. And you're feeling a little sexy, so why don't you have your clothes and everything, your hair and everything else. Show that to the world. And you'll have a lot of head turns, trust me. And you can it'll get you where you want to go, if you're in a relationship and you get back and you look at sexy, you want to continue that sexy right into the bed with your partner. If you're not in a relationship, you want to have those people, whoever you're trying to attract, have their heads turned. Here you go. But you're going to get everybody in there turning. You're going to walk down the street and everybody's going to look at you and say, get much needed rest and relaxation. Always, always, always good for your body. Always, always good for your stress levels. Your sex life, everything. You get your brain thinking correctly. And, a lot of things in today's life get, us worn out and stressed out and all these challenges and working under these crazy conditions. you want to be able to relax and get the sleep, which is going to feed your body and your mind. So remember that as well. Even if you want to get a little bit of a cat nap, do it. Go lay down and relax. You might not even, want to get out of your room to do anything. You just want to sit there and relax. Your body is eating that up. You're giving it what it's craving, what it's looking for, and that is very, very good. Don't, listen to your body, because your body is telling you something, and it's saying, help, I need it, so don't ever think, everybody likes, you always feel refreshed after a really good night's sleep. So imagine what it's doing for your body and maintaining a healthy sex life and keeping that groove going. Now, keeping in this direction of getting your groove back on, maintaining intimacy, very, very important. It gives you a healthy, sensual sense of like your sexuality, how you portray yourselves. It's very, very important. When you're single, I think it's a lot different than when you're with somebody, be married or not, just in a long-term relationship. Being in a relationship, you know that there is always that chance of having a sexual encounter when you're at home, or having that quickie, or whatever the case may be. But when you're single, obviously you get up, you go to work, or you go do what you gotta do, and then you come home, you're coming home to alone. So you start to lose your sense of your sexuality and your sensuality, that stuff. And you need to make sure that you don't let that weigh you down, and maintaining a good, healthy libido, and, explore a lot of options that will boost your libido hormones. Go to the sex store by yourself and get a toy that's going to be for you. Somewhere down the line, you'll probably meet somebody, and hell, you can show them how to use it on you. And a good sex toy is nothing to shove your nose at. So you need to remember that. On that note, we are going to take a break. So go replenish your drink, replenish that snack and everything, and meet me back here, or just stay where you are with your hands down your pants, whatever way you want to look at it. But I am still going to meet you back here for more sex talk with Andra.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Hello and welcome back to my show, where the topic is, getting your groove back on sexually. Feeling as though you've been out of the sexual game, your libido's a little low, or whatever way you want to look at it. Some ways to get you back up there. We left off on, working on exploring options, like libido boosting hormones, or, trying to find those new toys to work with or to use. Obviously, try them out on yourself first, because, it may have looked good in the store, but when you got it home, it might not have worked the same. You can't return the damn thing either. So, you have to find out, through solo play, or maybe you bought it, bring it home for you and your partner, and work it in. I'm sure that your partner can figure out some way in which to get you back in with that toy or something to do with it. Just trying to get you in there to get you all back into the swing of things sexually and all that good stuff. It's not, it is not hard, but it is, you need to put some work into it, basically. Now, one way is to work on your body positivity, obviously. We have a tendency to not love ourselves sometimes, mainly women, and I know we spoke about, when to get up and just change your sexy. Just dress up sexy to you and what makes you sexy and gives you that feeling of being sexy. This is very, very big. It'll boost your confidence. It'll boost you with your partner, without your partner, or whatever, but it will boost you up. It might even turn around where you look at, you're looking out really good, and you guys, someone sees you, you're with your partner, and they're looking at you. A little bit of that jealousy in there. It's sometimes good. Lets them know that they're still thinking of you, or whatever that is, and the way that they show it, as long as it doesn't go beyond that. Yes, there are those of you out there who have that partner who will come up and say, I'm not worried, they're not going anywhere. Well, partner, that might not be a very good thing to say. You might want to show a little bit of you, you don't want to be stuck behind that, because it will send some serious mixed signals sometimes, especially if you've been in a long relationship and things are a little on the downside. Now, there are other ways to doing this body positivity. And yes, one is getting dressed up, putting makeup on, just getting dressed for that day, because you feel sexy that day. Others are walk around your house butt naked. Just walk around there freely. It's your house. If you know you're going to be home alone, walk around there. Even if it's like, say the kids went, on a camping trip for the weekend with scouts or something. Heaven only knows. So they went to the grandparents' house for the weekend just to give you guys a time to yourselves. Walk around the house naked for your partner. Being able to look at yourself in a mirror naked is a way of building your sexuality, getting you back out there and feeling good about yourself, that body positivity. So very, very, very important. A lot of people are very afraid of doing that, but it actually is a very good thing. I think when the way of looking at it, when you're a baby, or you even do it with your kids, if you have children, what's the first thing they do? They have you do. You sit the baby in front of a mirror, and the baby becomes in tune with, that's that, it's me, basically. So do the same thing. It's the same thing, but in an adult version, let's put it that way. X-rated, but adult nonetheless. Moving right along. Practice makes perfect in everything in life, especially in sex. So obviously working on that solo play, or just getting your orgasm to where you want it to be. Whether you're in front of your partner or not, you could be naked prancing around the house, and then you just plop down in front of them and just start masturbating, and then they start watching you. Who's to say? But you can tell them, no, you can't touch. Sorry. And this, show what makes you feel good, and things like that. One thing in particular, which is the next thing, is date yourself. I know it sounds funny, but this has a lot. It's 2 words that mean a really lot. In a relationship or not in a relationship, this would work. Take yourself out. Say you're going to treat yourself to dinner at a restaurant that you've been eyeing to go into and haven't had the chance to go. So, bring yourself out there, treat yourself, because you feel good about it. You don't get up to go to work every day for no particular reason. Well, aside from some bills and stuff that everybody has to pay. But this is something that helps you. Take yourself out. Don't rely on other people to do it. Even if you're in a relationship, go to a movie by yourself. If there's a movie that you wanted to watch with your partner and doesn't want to see it and is basically, trying to avoid going to see it, take yourself. And after that, go have a dinner by yourself. So, or a play, whatever it is you want to see. Take yourself. That would really that'll boost your sexy so much. It's unreal. Expand your ideas. Now, we're working on getting our body up there, us, sexually comfortable walking around the house naked, dating ourselves. Generally, when you have a sexual halt there, you want to, it's really weird to explain this one, but it's there. You need to redefine your sexual, your single days, basically. Redefine who you are sexually, and do them on your own terms, not on somebody else's. There might have been somebody when you were younger who said something to you or constantly picked on you in sexually derogative or discouraging ways. It's not all about proving them wrong. It's all about finding out who you are and what you want, and redefining you sexually and through your beliefs sexually and your body and thoughts and all of these things is what you need to do. So it improves your attitude. It will do really good on your sexual performance. Do little, change up your behaviors. And these changes in behaviors will generally always evoke serious sexual feelings, sexuality of yourself towards your a potential partner or the partner that you have right then and there. So, there are a lot of little cues that you can use, but basically finding and exploring your inner you on the sexy side of things is what you need to do. It is very, very important as an individual to know who you are. I know a lot of people have difficulty with that, and it is something that a lot of people struggle with. But you also have to know who you are before having a very, successful sexual relationship with anybody. Some people, it's the opposite. If they're with somebody, they basically work to show them, and that brings out their sexuality because they have somebody who is their main focus, or you're their main focus, which helps you to be you and to bring you out. Just really, it gets hard when you're in a long relationship and then you find another relationship to be in. And finding a groove in a new relationship, can be quite challenging, especially if you've been in a very, very long relationship with your ex. So going back, you're so used to having that sexual partner, and knowing how to turn that partner on, or wearing particular things, or doing particular things, and you got to start all over. It's difficult. But there are some things that you can do, and especially after divorce, to get your groove back, because now I'm focusing on that. You got to be open and communicative, so you can communicate. You have to, communication is always a big thing. That's all there is to it. Communication is one of the biggest things. Being able to communicate yourself, what you feel, how you feel, and show it through what you wear and things like that in your new relationship is very, very important. A lot of expectations, showing your feelings, things like that. It's not all about that physical thing. It's the letting them know and understand where you're coming from, what you're feeling, how you want to feel, and how you want to pace, or what you like sexually, because it seems today sex seems to be the first thing. You do sex first, see if you like it, and then you turn around and you decide if you want to stay. A little backwards, but hey, if it works, it works. I kind of sort of, it's kind of a 50-50 chance there. Another way to get your groove back on after divorce is pop out the bubbly. Have a glass of wine for yourself. Just relax, especially if you're with someone new and this is your first time at that little foreplay, or, outer play, or whatever there is. Sit there. Alcohol has a tendency to relax those inhibitions and allows you to be a little bit more comfortable and acceptable for a few things. And especially your sexuality seems to shine through a little bit more. Actually, I should say a lot more, not just a little more, but a lot more, because it does relax you. It does, bring you down where you can get up and basically have wild, carefree sex. You can basically not care, but depending on how far it does get you a little loopy, and you're not so out of it, you won't get up in the next morning hating yourself for what you did, basically. Listen to music. What's the first thing that everybody does when they break up or get divorced, and this is in a regular long-term relationship when you break up? You go to the music, and you now are relating to all these old sad songs and things around that, but you don't want that. So set your own mood. Listen to music, but you're not with somebody new. You're trying to try something new and everything. Start getting a song or music that works in what you're doing right then and there to get you in that romantic mood, to get you, your eyes locked, your libido's flowing, and everything. And this way, music is a lot, because what do all these singers do? They usually, telling stories through their music. And what do we do as fans? We relate to it. Some are explicit and very sexual, while others are very alluring and romantic. Well, some things you just shouldn't listen to. But it goes there. Go dancing. When you hear music, what do you want to do? You want to dance. So get out there and do it. Now, on that note, I'm going to take the last break in the show. And completely up to you. You can finish what you're doing sitting right there. Or go get another drink and another snack. Completely up to you. But I will meet you back here for the last portion of my show. And we will continue our sex talk. Of course, with me, Andra.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Hello, and welcome back to the final segment in the show today, where we're talking about getting your groove back on. Whether you're in a relationship or not, we are discussing, after divorce now, because I did talk about some ways of in or out a relationship. And, listening to music, being, working on your body positivity, dating yourself, by taking yourself out to a movie and then dinner, and just treating yourself, dressing sexy, all these kinds of things always work. And, having a little, just a little wine to let your guard down just a bit, but always have good communication. And, as we move on, we've got the music. Now what do we gotta do? We gotta go dancing. When you are out there dancing, you're just losing yourself. You're enjoying yourself. You're getting out there, all that twisting and turning and feeling the music. And then you go into, if you're dancing with somebody, especially a prospective new partner, a little bit of flirtiness on the dance floor, a little scamooching, whatever, you're going to get those little free feels out there, and it's really getting a lot of that chemistry building. And you can easily take that and bring it right into the bedroom. Dancing is a physical activity, and what is really good for libido or for the body or sex in general is exercise, even though sex is an exercise. Obviously through dance, you become more comfortable, naturally. It's not forced or anything like that. You're allowing yourself to just relax, let loose, and enjoy yourself. Especially if you are doing a particular dance. There's a salsa out there, some, dances that go to songs like the Electric Slide and things like that. And you're going through, when you're dancing, that little playful touching, that physical, that, little scamooch on the cheek or whatever, but you're in there, and if you can get through that, I think you can get through the sex part. So, a lot of people don't like to even go dancing, but dancing is a fun way to get to know somebody and just get out there and just let yourself go. So, dancing, a lot of people don't take their dates dancing anymore. It's really a fun thing to do. Putting it back out there is good. Granted, the dances of today, the dance moves, shall I say, are a little bit more wild or take up a lot of space on the floor. Try and slow it down a bit there. Next thing you might want, cuddle first. Obviously, cozying up, the two of you. Maybe you go to their house, they come to your house, and watch a movie. You guys make popcorn. You can sit there while you're watching the movies, talk, cuddle, just allow for yourself to enjoy yourselves. No pushing a lot of anything, but it is building the romance and the intimacy way before getting into that heavy sex and just, getting and going all over the place and hitting that orgasm. Because it gets you to know the things, what little things are going to work, what little things turn on, being able to cuddle up with somebody, not feel uncomfortable, just makes way for great sex in the end, which is what you are aiming for. I mean, you could be sitting there and he starts, the new potential partner, shall I say, could be like rubbing your hand with their thumb or something, or you could be sitting there and just rubbing the back of their neck, which most of the time you don't even realize that you're probably even doing it because you're just so comfortable cuddling that that connection is there. There's a lot of power in the touch. Remember that. A lot of physical and mental benefits to it, and cuddling is that part in that beginning of the relationship, middle of the relationship, all of that in the relationship, which bonding and being affectionate and wanting to be with that person more is built. So remember that. You can even sit there and, fondle each other's genitals. Who cares? And then when the movie's over, you just, get up and say, oh, it was nice seeing you, and see you on such and such a day, and you leave them like that, wanting more. That's exactly, it's funny just even thinking about it, but believe it or not, it does work. It keeps them talking. And that's basically where you want to be and how you want to start out that relationship. Basically try and find ways to, reboot that libido and get it going. And don't think so heavily about it, because when you do that is when it's generally not going to actually happen. So you don't want to put that much pressure on yourself for that. So remember that. Now, moving right along in the show, as promised, we are going to talk about getting ways that you can really move during sex to make it that much more, what do you want to call it? Ooh la la. So, let's start that up. How's that one sound? Now, getting down to the nitty-gritty and knowing how to move during sex is the way in which you learn more about who you are and little areas of you that are going to, like, oh, well, I didn't know that did that, and I got turned on by that. Do it again. Any kind of sex is more pleasurable, exciting, thrilling, you name it. You want it to be orgasmic sexually. You know that. So having ways in which to move your body in different ways during sex is kind of hard to, you got to really work on what's going to work with you. Obviously moving back and forth, and so it causes that little bit of friction to your genitals, which helps you reach that orgasm at like higher points. But a lot of people are scared or intimidated about moving during sex. Like, you got to sit right where you are and let them finish, or whatever the case may be, and that's the way it is. No, you need to get up and use your body and move it, especially your pelvis, obviously. By moving your body, it creates an opportunity for body orgasms, which is what a lot of people want out of it. Hell, if you're going to have sex, you may as well go for the whole kit and caboodle. So remember that. Obviously, keeping moving and your body, jiggling and during sex obviously has a lot of benefits. It generates more friction, like I said, for your genitals, and allows you to find like that right spot, like particularly when women are on top and they're quote unquote riding you. It's causing that. It's stimulating the clitoris. Another thing is moving your body. It relaxes a lot of the tension that you have, or you've been, that could be, blocking your pleasurable stimulation. Believe it or not, movement, lots of movement during sex. Not crazy movement. We're going to, hurt ourselves, but it activates the spine, which allows those nerves. I mean, there's a pile of nerves that go up and down your spinal column, which actually, those nerve signals that are traveling up into the brain obviously will trigger more arousal and more pleasure, and you really want to keep that brain wave moving. And it is a form of erotic communication. So remember that as well, because it does help your partner to figure out what pleases you sexually and can get you off, so that, they have something to work on there. Now, there are ways to get moving during all kinds of sex. Now, you need to really confront your emotional barriers first, because that usually keeps anything that has to do with emotional and blockage or anything like that is going to stop you from doing much of anything, really. It would also give you that fear that you're not doing it correctly. Get rid of all of these. But here are some there are like 3 components, like core components of erotic movement. First one is hip circles. Obviously, you're moving your pelvis in a circular motion. And what you do is you play with going slow. And when you slow it down, sit back and be conscious of the feeling of each circle that you do in each part. Then you go faster and faster, and then you can stop and slow it down again. You can really work with your pelvis muscles. Next is hip thrusts, obviously. It's all in the hips. You're going to, this is the tilting your pelvis back and forth. And this is really a way in which you can, start slow to start building up that momentum and that movement. And then, start going faster. And there's always, watch your breathing and really thrusting back and forth, making the noise, squishy noise. But you can also stop and then do it again. Go slow and then, put a little bit of circle in there when you're going at it. Move those hips and start incorporating the two together. Spinal undulations. Now, this is considered the most sophisticated erotic movement, but it is the most important for activating full body pleasure. Now, undulations are wave-like motions that travel the entire length of your spine. Okay, so obviously you're going to start with a pelvic thrust, then let the movement travel up your spine, and then ending only when your head tilts back at the end of the wave. So you're basically coming in tune of that wave that comes up and down your spine, up to your brain, gets the sexual pleasure, stimulation going, and coming back down to the hips. To learn these a little better, obviously a good masturbation session can get you right where you want to be, and how getting your hips to move and things like that, and working on it. And I don't even know if you want to say practice on that, but hey, getting them in there where you can just take that into the bedroom with your partner can follow along with you. So, there are a lot of videos out there that you can watch that actually can inspire you and help you with this. So don't be afraid to try it. That's what they're there for. Now, on that note, we are at the end of the show. I want to thank you for tuning in. Obviously, as always, if you're going to try anything new or you're with a new partner, please do educate, communicate, and consent. Please, please, please. Also practice safe sex, if not for yourself, for your partner. Again, thank you for tuning into the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I ask that you reach out, hit that subscribe button, and leave 5 stars, a good review. That not only helps me, actually, it does help the GSMC Podcast Network, because knowing what you like and what to bring to you is their job. Also, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please hit the little heart, or please hit the little thumbs up like button. Let it, leave a comment. Let us know what you want to hear. And on that note, again, thank you for tuning in. It was pleasurable. And I will bode you, shall I say, to have a good sex night or day wherever you are. And until next time, bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast.